Welcome to The Author Show, where we present new authors and books. From fiction to self-help and everything in between, you'll find it all here. To watch the TV version of our program, visit authorswebtv.com. That's authorswebtv.com. And now, let the show begin.
Hi, this is Linda Thompson, your host for The Author Show. Meet the unsung heroes of the supernatural, those who walk between worlds to help humans battle their demons. Watch the ordinary collide with the extraordinary to test the mettle of their souls and the power of their love. Demons and Angels, Walking Between Worlds, Book 1 is the spellbinding tale of a special group of people whose lives were changed forever. Author J.K. Norry joins us today to talk about walking between those worlds. Jay, welcome to the Author Show.
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you having me. It's good to be here.
Jay, please give us a short overview of Demons and Angels, Walking Between Worlds, Book 1.
This story is about a pretty normal guy, a pretty normal group of people, really, who end up being introduced to a world that none of us have really been introduced to before. These are a group of people who live different lives outside of the realm of normal civilization, but also assisting normal people in dealing with their own personal demons and coming in at the moment that people need help the most and basically helping them work out their problems in more of a esoteric, mysterious, spiritual kind of way.
I take it from your bio that you've been writing for some time. What prompted you to delve into the world of fantasy fiction?
Most of my writing I did just to pretty much figure out who I was. For the first 10 years or so, I was writing journals and never really thought that I was going to write a book. When it came time to write a book, I wrote one that was very autobiographical, and then I realized, you know what, this isn't what I love to read. This isn't what I was drawn to when I was first looking at things to entertain me and uplift me and show me stories that were interesting to me. I was really into fantasy. I was really into other worlds that when I closed my eyes, I could see worlds like that. And when I saw books that were telling me that other authors were seeing worlds like that, it really just opened me up to being able to look at those worlds that I could see and share them with other people.
When you were writing Demons and Angels, did you have a particular type of reader in mind?
I wanted this book to be able to appeal to anyone who enjoyed reading in and of itself, but I definitely was shooting for the fantasy reader. I know that the times that philosophy or New Age concepts have come up in fantasy books for me, I've always delighted in what direction the author takes it in, and I liked the fact that that was in these books without being the primary focus of these books.
What gave you the idea for the storyline in Demons and Angels?
As far as stories go, it really, for me, is, like I said, it's like a window into another world. It's like being able to close my eyes or even just turn my attention inward and I see a thread and I pick up on that thread and I follow that thread. And if that thread is intriguing to me, I sit down and I start writing and follow it wherever it leads me into the end.
How would you compare your writing style with other fantasy fiction authors?
I would say that it must be fairly similar since that's what I'm so into. Again, I do always have and will always have somewhat of a underlying spiritual element to it and always a message of hope, even if it's somewhat difficult to translate that message even by the end of the book.
From the title of your book, I take it that this will be a series. Will the series have the same cast of characters, and how many books do you have planned?
This is a trilogy, and they are actually all finished. The first book was very, very long in coming, and as soon as that one was done, I really wanted to get the others complete because I wanted to make sure that anyone who was into the story was not waiting for too long for them to come out.
For someone who gets into series and anticipates the next one, you have no idea how much I appreciate that. Having to wait 2 years for the next one just drives me nuts. So thank you for that.
I knew that this was a story in and of itself, and that's why I made it a trilogy. The concept and the world that I explore in this might be another idea for another book or another trilogy at some point in the future, but for now I'm going to leave this world behind.
Do your characters resemble people you know, or are they straight from your imagination?
I have to say that they really don't. I have to say that, again, I'm looking into a world where I'm seeing people that I guess they could have some resemblance to some people, but only like a new person that you would meet would have resemblance to someone that you had known before. They're definitely unique in and of themselves, and I enjoy watching them and writing about them and trying to get the story down as best as I possibly can.
Your book cover is a very interesting design. Why did you show your hero in silhouette?
I wanted to show that there was definitely a darkness to him, that there was definitely a mystery, not just to him, but to this world that he was beginning to step into and the worlds that he was learning to walk between. There was a lot implied in that picture that I didn't even realize until I got to writing the second and third books. But having him in silhouette was just showing that there's a lot to reveal.
Would you say the story in Demons and Angels to be one of hope, despair, or a bit of both?
Oh, I would say actually a lot of both. There's definitely hope. Like I said, there will always be hope in everything I write because there will always be hope in me. But there's definitely despair. And sometimes you have to really raise yourself up to a really, really high perspective to be able to see the hope, because there's so much despair in some stories. And that might happen for you if you read this trilogy somewhere along book 2, but keep reading because the hope will come back in book 3.
Okay, let me ask you about what is the thought process to write a book about, or a story about something that isn't real? What takes you into fantasy? How do you develop this other world? That's a very special talent, and I'm really curious as to how you do that.
You know, I discovered that term in the last couple of years, world building, and I love that term because it really is a very essential part in writing a good story, where you're telling your reader all about how this world affects your characters and how the changing world affects your characters. And you really have to build the whole thing from the ground up. And you can lean on other worlds to do so, but you've really got to make sure that you're putting your characters and your reader in a whole different place. And to do that, you really do. You have to complete the blueprint, and then you have to build the thing, and you have to stick everybody in it and make sure that you're not overburdening the reader with details just because you happen to have them in your head, but making sure that you paint a very clear picture.
Most authors write because they have a message they want to share. What is your message to your readers of Demons and Angels?
I think the message, again, and anything that I write is going to be an overarching theme of hope. I would say that the message in this is of transformation and of evolution, of personal evolution, as well as social evolution, and how that affects all of us and how that calls to all of us in some way or another.
In the series, do the same characters go through all 3 books?
There are some characters that start out in the very beginning that make it all the way to the end, or pretty much all the way to the end. There are some characters that pop up that end up staying till the end, and I'm a little bit bummed out because I didn't feel like I had complete control over it. But I have to admit that there are definitely some characters that start out at some place or another and do not make it to the end of the series.
Do you feel that Demons and Angels is similar to anything else we may have read?
I don't really feel that it is. I think that if I felt that it was, then I wouldn't have felt so compelled to write it. I think that there may be similarities here and there that people can pick out, but as far as saying that it's like anything else that's out there, the specificity of that description, I would have to say that there's really not.
What kind of feedback have you had so far from readers of Demons and Angels?
You know, the last question actually put a thought in my head that I decided not to voice, but I think I'll voice it now. I have heard from more than one person that's read it that it's like the TV series Supernatural. In that series, there's a couple of brothers that go around hunting down supernatural villains and helping people that don't know how to deal with the supernatural and the spiritual. And I would say that it's a good comparison in some ways.
Well, speaking of TV series, do you think that Demons and Angels would make a good TV show or a movie?
I think that this would make a great series. I think that if HBO were to pick it up like Game of Thrones, then they could do everything that's in the book. And if any other network decided to pick it up, I'd love to see them have a go at making everything happen.
So what are you working on now that these 3 are finished?
Right now, I'm working on figuring out the marketing aspect of being an author and having a publishing house. And we're really trying to work on a schedule for all the appearances that I'll be doing next year, and for basically learning how to balance everything instead of doing what we've been doing, which is work on one thing until it's done and let everything else fall away for weeks or months and then pick up on all the emergencies that have popped up in the meantime, and just kind of tackle one thing at a time.
So you haven't set out to write another book?
Oh, I have, absolutely, yeah. I've already got the outline written, and I've already written the first few pages of it just to get me started. But this is going to be a little bit more of a horror novel, I guess, for lack of a better description, just because I know there's going to be a lot of violence in it. It's going to kind of explore the needs that Mother Nature has and the ways that she comes up with solving those needs and how dark and violent those solutions can become. And it's going to be called Zombie Zero, I believe.
Ooh.
But that could change.
So Jay, where can we learn more about you, about your other books, and where can we purchase Demons and Angels Walking Between Worlds, Book 1?
I have a website, jnorry.com, and you can find out everything that's going on with me there. Also, I have a publishing company, Sudden Insight Publishing, that has a website under that name. And you can buy my books either on my website, where I will happily sign them, or write a dedication and sign them for free, or you can buy them on Amazon or any retailer that you can find online that carries major books.
Jay, in the minute or so we have left, please share with our audience one thing that will be an incentive for them to purchase and read Demons and Angels.
This is really a fun adventure for anybody, I think. I thought when I first wrote the first one that it would be good to push it on a younger audience, but by the time I got to the third one, I realized that this was definitely some adult-themed and adult-oriented material. But as far as that goes, if someone likes fantasy in any way, shape, or form, I sincerely believe that they're going to love this series. And if you've got any kind of philosophical bent to you at all, I think you're just going to revel in all the little Easter eggs that there are to find in the book.
Jay, I want to really thank you for visiting with us today, and thank you for sharing Demons and Angels Walking Between Worlds Book 1 with us. I have to giggle a little bit about finding Easter eggs in a fantasy book. I would look forward to finding that. I wish you all the luck in the world with this, and I would really like to have you come back and share Book 2 with us.
Great. Thanks, Linda. I appreciate you having me, and I'd love to come back again. Appreciate it.
Demons and Angels by Jay Norry is a wonderful story mixing a spiritual context with action and adventure. The plot tells the tale of the organization of the universe, humans, angels, and demons, and Jay characters play in all three. The pace quickened as the story moved along, and there are twists that will surprise. Underlying and not yet completed is a love story, I think. I guess I have to wait for the next one, and I'm sure looking forward to it. That was a review I found online, and it says just about everything I would want to close out today's show. This is Linda Thompson, concluding another edition of The Author Show. Please share this interview with your family and friends so that they too may have the opportunity to discover our guest and his work. And why not spread the word on social media as well? Please join us next time for another exciting author and another great book on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. To contact us, call toll-free 1-877-955-8800. That's 877-955-8800. Or visit theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.